After seeing Digital Mumble's video, I want to respond with a video on a subject I've been wanting to talk about for some time: player count. The average gamer doesn't really give much thought to the fact that player count is a deliberate design decision by the developers. They need to decide how many players are needed to allow good gameplay and good teamwork. In a game with 9 classes, do you let all classes be represented on the field with 9 players? Do you allow for some duplicates with, say, 12? Or do you make the team choose which class will not be on the field by having 8 or less? Will that many players fit comfortably on the map? Will they spend minutes trying to find an enemy in a map that is too large or complex? Will they have time to prepare and anticipate the combat, or will they be in a constant state of spawning and dying? Mumble talked about Team Fortress 2 losing all skill and strategy in those 50 players instant spawn servers, where the map is too small and too linear to accommodate that many players, leaving both teams to bang their heads against each other like they have mad cow disease. Counter-Strike Global Offensive recently added the ability to have 30 players on one server. Its maps and gameplay work brilliantly in 5-on-5 matches, where the CTs must decide whether to split up and cover both bomb sites, or move as a group and potentially miss the terrorist and have to rush to the other location. When there's 30 players on the map, the game is just a deathmatch with no rhyme or reason to the flow of the game. Your only feedback is, not exactly the cunning, skill-based shooter that has been played competitively for the last decade or so. Let's take a look at the rapidly growing MOBA genre. League of Legends has a map with 3 lanes and allows for 5 players on each team. Thanks to the large varied rosters of characters and classes, and the 10-player limit, each team must decide how they're going to tackle each lane to take advantage of their strengths. A single player leaving the game can have a dramatic effect on the outcome of the battle. Now, imagine, if you will, what LoL would be like if each team had 6 players. Suddenly, you can cover each lane evenly, and the game loses some element of its strategy and core gameplay. Imagine if you could only have 4 players per team. Suddenly, that map is getting pretty big, and games may start to play out the same because there's less room for support characters. Finally, what if LoL allowed for 30 players? Think about it. But gamers do like their large-scale battle games. PlanetSide 2's main strength is the size of its battles, where thousands of players fight on the same continent. Battlefield Bad Company 2 was criticized for being limited to 32 players, forcing DICE to return to 64 players in Battlefield 3. Other games like Joint Operations Typhoon Rising or Zipper's Mag sold because of their large scale, allowing for 150 and 256 players respectively. Heck, MAG is even an acronym for Massive Action Game.
A lot of people don't realize that you don't need 50 players to have an engaging game. Though they tend to play games that require that many players in order to be fun, there are games out there that are at their best with only 2 players. For example, StarCraft 2 is nearly perfectly balanced for one-on-one battles, and while a deathmatch in Unreal Tournament is generally a matter of killing faster than everyone else, once you get into a one-on-one duel, the game completely changes. Every death counts against you and gives you a tougher hill to climb. When you spawn, your opponent has the upper hand because you only have a basic weapon and no armor, and suddenly the game becomes about knowing when to run and when to pursue. If you see that the double damage is missing, you know to stay away for a while, and you might be able to hear him running or rocket jumping in the distance. You wouldn't get these details and tactics in any other game mode. I'm not against high player count by any means. I agree that Battlefield should be a 64-player game, and I'm loving PlanetSide 2, but not every game is made for that kind of scale. You have to build the ship in the bottle, not cram it in afterwards, or something is going to break. Player count is an area of game design that doesn't always benefit from a more is better mentality.